So I'm Bart here, and if you can't tell by the Santa hat here, it is Christmas Eve, and welcome to some more of Happy Sulli-Days. When it comes to Christmas comedies, they're mostly mixed in my opinion. Some do this very well, while others do it very poorly. And one of those films that didn't work out for me is one of the most popular Christmas movies of all. A movie that is so popular that it's got a Broadway musical and an animated musical TV special. And that one film is Elf. When a human baby sneaks into Santa's bag of toys, Santa decided to let the baby, who's given the name Buddy, to be raised by Papa Elf and learn the ways of being an elf. But by the time Buddy's an adult, Santa and Papa Elf tell him that he's a human, and that his real father, Walter Hobbs, not only didn't know about Buddy, but is also on the naughty list. So Buddy leaves the North Pole into New York City where Walter lives, and not only does he try to convince Walter about his relationship to him, but he also experiences what goes on in New York City, as well as having a romance with a Gimble's employee Jovi, meets the rest of his real family, and wanting to spend time with his real father. Interestingly, some of his setup isn't that bad, but the rest of it isn't engaging. Some of the story has elements of the Jungle Book and Santa Claus is Coming to Town, which is neat, and the entire first act at the North Pole isn't too bad. The sets are well done, and it's homage to Rudolph from the look, to the elf outfits, to the use of stop motion for the animals and such, and a couple of characters are enjoyable to witness. Even the effects are pretty decent in the first act, as well as bits of them in the second and third act. But the film ends up going downhill when Buddy goes to New York City. The comedy isn't funny, Buddy's fish out of water bits are embarrassingly awkward, and the overall tone of it is just dull. And some of the soundtrack's main themes sound similar to Polar Express, ironic since this came out 1 year before that. And some of it can be attributed to the characters in the film. Outside of Buddy's comedic bits, his attitude of likely being a child as an adult elf gets very old very quickly. And it can get annoying, but it's mostly embarrassing. Walter is the stick in the mud, but not one I stand by. His approach of it all felt pretty off and unnatural. Jovi appears to be very bored, Michael and Mary, the son and mother to Walter, aren't impressive, and everyone else isn't all that fun. Even the news reporter who acts slightly over the top, but when discussing Santa, it is clear that she doesn't believe in him. Also, Miles Finch, a man Walter hires to come up with ideas for a new book, isn't interesting despite the actor they got. And he also partakes in a fight with Buddy, making the cliché of the little person being part of the fight just unbearable and is one of my least favorite film clichés. The only character I kind of like is Santa, mostly because of all he goes through and tries to make the best of it. Not to mention that he's played by the same actor who did Santa before and even does it again later. And even with a big cast of actors in this film, they themselves really couldn't save it. Will Ferrell plays Buddy, James Caan plays Walter Hobbs, Zooey Deschanel plays Jovi, Ed Asner plays Santa Claus, Bob Newhart plays Papa Elf, Mary Steenburgen plays Emily, Daniel Tay plays Michael, Faison Love plays Gimble's manager, Amy Sedaris plays Deb, Andy Richter plays Morris, Kyle Gass plays Eugene, Michael Lerner plays Fulton, Peter Dinklage plays Miles Finch, Artie Lane plays Gimble's Santa, the film's director Jon Favreau plays Dr. Leonardo, and Leon Redboone voices Leon the Snowman. As a whole, this movie wasn't fun. The characters are awkwardly dull, the story is lame, and the effects are decent, but not much. Director Jon Favreau had made a very weak Christmas movie that could have been fun and enjoyable from the start, but it ended up being unfunny, awkward, and a huge bore. I didn't laugh at anything, all the fish out of water bits weren't fun, and many of the characters were flat. I know many people enjoy this film for reasons I understand, but for me, I'd much rather take the animated musical special over this one any day. So today, this movie will get a rating of 2 stars. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Facebook or Twitter, support me on Patreon, and tune next week for more of Happy Sulli-Days. And if you think I wasn't being fair at all with this movie, then maybe next week's movie will be a lot more better. Why did I have to open my big mouth?